Hey, everybody. Okay, welcome to LadyBoss Unplugged. This is your host, Molly Richards. And oh my gosh, y'all are in for the biggest treat today. Like the biggest treat. Oh my gosh, by the way, I say y'all and I'm from Southern California. Okay, I digress. But you are going to love today's guest. I mean, here's the question. Have you ever met someone and within the first 2 seconds, you're like, where has this human been all my life? Welcome to Lady Boss Unplugged. This is Molly Richards, your host. I am beyond excited to empower you to overcome life's obstacles, to form new healthy habits, to cultivate a growth mindset, as well as bring in some super cool guests who will share their own kind of magic with you. Oh, and did I mention we'll have fun too? Heck yes, we will. Join me for weekly, unfiltered, raw, real, and encouraging conversations that inspire transformative change, that give you the tools to create a positive domino effect in every aspect of your life, and just have fun hanging out. Now, let's get unplugged. I am not joking you. When I met this girl, this woman, this amazing human, I was like, okay, her energy is like bouncing off the walls. The light in her eyes is just like so bright. Her vibe was just contagious. And actually, I remember when I first met her, I was like, wow, I think this person actually has more energy than me, which is saying something huge because people always tell me I have a lot of energy. And I was like, oh, no. She surpasses me by so far. So this human, I'm going to give you her name in just a minute, but if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing her right now, and her energy is amazing. She's real, she's beautiful, she's smart, she is driven, she is transforming lives every day, and she is totally funny, like hilarious. I know. She's one of the best people I have met and one of the most charismatic people I am blessed to know. So give me a drum roll. Okay. Today's guest is McCall Jones. What's up, girlfriend?
Hi. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I felt the same way. We met and instantly was like, we should be best friends.
I know.
Let's do this.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Thanks for having me.
You make me smile. I am so happy you're here. I've been waiting for this day. And when you said yes right away, I was like, oh, I love you even more. So thank you so much. You are going to bless the Lady Boss community in such big ways. Oh my goodness. So I love it. So rather than me go on and on about you, can you give a little intro about who you are and anything you want to share with our community, because they're going to be loving you just as much as me.
Of course. Yes. Hi, my friends. My name is McCall Jones. I'm the co-founder of a company called Charisma Hacking. So at Charisma Hacking, we help people be more authentically themselves. And what we have learned is when people are more authentically themselves, they are able to sell more things. They're able to connect with more people. And we do that with a system that we call Charisma Styles. So your Charisma Styles, it is kind of like a personality test that tells you the style of charisma that you have or your charisma type that connects with people the most. So it is kind of authenticity in a box in a really cool system. And yeah, we've been able to help a lot of people do that. I got started because I spent my entire life either on a stage or in front of a camera. I started my professional singing career at age 6, which is kind of nuts. I sang in front of my first crowd of 20,000 people when I was like 8. I did a couple movies in high school. I was in High School Musical 2, which was so much fun. And then in 2020, I went to an internet marketing convention. Some of you may have heard of it, called Funnel Hacking Live. And my sister-in-law was speaking, and I just went to support her. And I sat there and looked around at all of these people that were really struggling with video and being themselves. And I would see them talk to me and be so vibrant and so excited about what they were doing. And then like pull out a camera or 3 steps to their left and talk to somebody that they felt was higher status or something and just shut down, like become these really stiff, awkward people. And Russell Brunson, who is a great friend and great mentor of mine, got on stage and he said, if you have something that's going to change somebody's life, it's your moral responsibility to give it to them. And I happened to sit next to this woman who was really struggling with exactly that. And I asked her if I could coach her for free. And in that moment, Charisma Hacking was born. We got really quick results really fast. And then from then, I've just been able to help a lot of people do that because it's hard. It's hard to be yourself, and it's hard to feel like you have permission to be yourself. And so we work on that every single day, and it's so much fun. And I love it.
I love that. Oh my gosh, your energy is my favorite. I love that you saw that this woman was in need, right? And you're like, how can I help you? And I think that is so cool that you were like, how can I serve you? How can I help you? You weren't like, here's how much I charge. You're like, how can I just help help you, do better at what you do and shine more. I think that's so cool.
Well, I gotta tell you, I had never coached an entrepreneur before, so it felt like, I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Please take a chance on me.
But I love that
And
you
so
didn't
she was
overthink
really
it.
taking the leap.
You didn't overthink it. You were like, let's go.
Maybe a little bit foolishly. I was just like, let's do this. But yeah,
Oh my
I loved it so much.
So I have you might think this is a silly question, but
I'm
people might be
excited.
thinking this. I know there's no stupid questions, right? We learned that in school. How would you define the word charisma?
Great question.
Oh, thank you.
So there's two ways that we really define charisma. So the first thing is, what are you able to do with charisma? Like, what is the tool of charisma used for? So we define charisma as the ability to do three things. The first thing is get people to pay attention to you. The second thing is get someone to trust you. And the third thing is to move them to action, or basically get them to do what you say, right? So we're like, oh, okay, if you have charisma, you can get somebody to notice you, you can get them to trust you, and then you can get them to take your advice, basically. The other way that we define charisma, which kind of goes into that, it's getting people excited to the level of participation. So basically it's the ability to get somebody else excited about whatever you're doing and whatever you're talking about, to the point where they're like, I can't help but want to join in on that one thing, which you absolutely have. Anything you talk about, if you have girlfriends that are like, I need that, I'm in, that's what your charisma does. So that's the tool that you're using to do that.
Oh, that is so cool. I mean, and I'm thinking right now, like, that is huge in business, right? And a lot of us in the LadyBoss community are ambassadors. There's a program that we have for ambassadors where you could just basically share how much you love what we have in this community, so we can use what you're saying in that. And also, like, I've been married 28 years. I use a lot of charisma to get my way with my husband.
100%. I love that.
Also with our kids, or even like if you're looking for a job or something, you can use this,
Yeah. It's a skill that we use to communicate with each other, right?
Yes.
And to get our point across, to get somebody, like I said, to side with you, or to see things from your point of view. And yeah, it's a skill that we need, and that we actually use really naturally in our lives. It's one of the things that we talk about at Charisma Hacking. More often than not, we're not looking for things to add to make you more charismatic. We're looking for things to take away that like are getting in the way of your charisma. So we believe that everybody is naturally charismatic when you're with your very favorite people on the planet. But, we get self-conscious, or we feel like we're too much, or we're talking to somebody we're less comfortable with, or maybe we have social anxiety or something. And we just layer on these things that then, we could say like dull your sparkle, right? It lowers your level of charisma, and it makes you somebody that you're not. So half of charisma hacking is removing those things and learning how to like deal with those things so that you can recenter yourself. And then the other half is saying like, okay, what can we do to enhance that? Like, what things do we need to talk about? What emotions do you need to feel in order to bring out like that sparkly, fun energy?
That is so cool. And what you're like speaking to me, and I've been there before, and I now I just need to sign up for your program. But I've definitely been there before, and I feel like when I was doing all that, like not being having a lot of charisma, I felt like I was giving into fear a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you see that. Do you see like fear, like keeping people from, or people hiding and their true selves, or whatever it is?
Totally. We literally have a program called Stop Hiding, because we see that people, so I just call it being off center. So when you are your very best self, we believe that's the core of who you are, right? That is you as your most charismatic when you are your very best self. Right. When you are not your best self, we just call it being off center, right? It's just something happened and it pulled you off center. And there's always a reason why we get off center, right? Like you said, like fear. So we break it down into three reasons. The first one is that you feel like you're too much something, right? Or like too loud, right? And then you pull off center because you're trying to be quieter. The next one is that you feel like you're not enough something. If you're like, oh, I'm not smart enough, like I'm self-conscious in my head. And then the third one is that you're trying actively to not be seen as something, right? So like a lot of women in their brain have this idea that maybe being bubbly or energetic, like makes them look not as intelligent or something like that. So because they don't want to be seen as stupid, they think, oh, well, I don't think these two things can coexist. So I'm going to stop being so bubbly or so excitable, and I'm going to be less than that, right? Or the women who are naturally a little bit more stoic or a little bit more serious that way, they feel like they won't look as feminine, or they won't be taken as fun, right? So they will try to fake it and try to act like these other people. So it pulls you off center. So the entire thing that we work on is exactly that. It's letting go of that fear and then finding ways to recenter, of saying like, okay, you're not too much. Here's evidence of that. Or you are enough in this way. Here's evidence of that. Or, these two things actually can coexist. You can be bubbly and smart, and you can be serious and fun. And like, here's how we find that. And we just resend it that way.
That is so cool. Like, that's just not going to change their business. That's going to change their life.
Totally.
Fully change their life. It's so funny when you say that, like, where you think like, oh, I'm not enough, or I'm too much, I'm too loud. Like, I say this I've said this in our podcast before, how sometimes that's just someone told us that as a kid.
Yeah.
It is not even true. And all of a sudden we're like, but I'm shy. It's like, you're not. Someone told you that, but you became a shy person. Right? Like, that's
Totally
crazy. Or you just compare yourself to someone. You're like, I'm not like her. I don't look like her, sound like her. But I think that's really cool that you work with people. I mean, and teach them that. Like, that to me is so magical.
I think one of the craziest things, and we talk a lot about this, I tell all of our people, like, we're not stupid, right? We're not stupid. We're not making something up. Like, a lot of times, my whole life, I was told, like, you're so silly. You're too silly. You're too goofy. You're too loud.
Right.
You're too much, whatever.
Yes.
And I don't believe that I'm a stupid person. So I didn't make it up from scratch, which is actually, it feels at first really scary to acknowledge that, but it's saying, oh, I was told that at some point in my life. Acknowledging that is saying there's evidence there. And now what I tell people is, like, you can't win a case against evidence with just saying, like, nuh-uh, that's not true, right? Which is usually what people who talk about authenticity or whatever, that's what they say. They're like, well, be more authentic. No, you got this, you go girl kind of situation. So because I know that there's evidence of it, the only way to fight it is with evidence that's equally strong, right? So when I look at that and I say, okay, I have been told by some people I am too silly or too loud, or, that silly and smart can't coexist. I know that that exists. Acknowledging that and saying there's evidence of that in my past, my body is not reacting in a weird way, right? It's like, that's what my brain's doing. And saying, okay, well, now I need to find evidence of people who actually love that about me, right? And I call it the 1-3-5 rule. So it's like, if I have one piece of evidence that says, Molly in the 3rd grade told me I was too loud, and it sticks with you, right? And knowing that that's okay, right? Oh, it sticks with me. Like, Molly said that one time. I shouldn't have said Molly. Your name's Molly.
I love
right?
it. You could use
Chandra, right? Whatever. Right?
You could use
like, oh, Chandra in the past said that. Oh, I'm too loud. Dang it. Okay. Now I need to look at the people in my life and say, okay, if it's something that is not as strong, right? And I'm still thinking of Chandra who said that, I can find one person that cancels it out and say, oh, well, Molly actually thinks that I'm not too loud, and she loves that about me. Right. If it doesn't work so far, I find 3 people, right, to fight the one. And I say, oh, well, Molly loves me and loves that I'm loud and that I'm silly and stuff. Oh, so does Tanner, so does Kevin, right? And then if it's really strong, then you find 5, right? So we have to fight evidence with evidence. Otherwise, we're playing a losing game, because we're just like, oh, like, I know I'm not too much, but for some reason it's still getting me down. And it's like, oh, well, the reason it's getting you down is because you're trying to find evidence with nuh-uh, right? And it's like, in a court, that would never win. That wouldn't be a winning case. So it's just acknowledging, like, it's actually okay. It's okay that it's getting to us. And the way to get out of it is to actively look for counter evidence, right, that fights it.
That's so true.
I'm getting so nerdy on you.
I love it. No, be so nerdy. Let's put on our whole nerd. I don't even know.
You're so great.
But it's funny though, when you say that, I know that like our brain always looks for the negative. Our brain looks for the evidence that it wants to prove us correct, that like that one person is the one that's going to dictate our life. Like, that is crazy. And I'm very confident. I do a lot of work on myself, but even last week, Kevin and I were on a walk. We've been married almost 29 years, known each other for like forever. And I was we still share new things with each other, which is so weird. We're like, we still have stories to share. We still have experiences to share. And I told him a story of when someone once told me something super negative, and I've still focused on that. I'm 51. And I was probably told this when I was like 7. And I still think of that one story. It's so weird. It is so weird. And he was like, Molly, but I can give you 50,000 people, or not 50,000, maybe 500 that have told you, that have told you all these good things. So it's wild that we were just talking about that. But I think for you to teach that to people, we're not aware of it, and to use the 1-3-5, I'm totally using that. I hope all of our listeners use that, because that is so powerful.
Well, and the crazy thing too, so in order to make it effective, right, the first thing that we have to realize is that by discounting it, because I do the same thing, by discounting it and say like, oh man, like my words of like, I'm so dumb for focusing on that one thing that I was told 5 years ago, right? Or like, oh, I am not strong enough, or like I'm being silly or whatever, right? It's adding shame to this like terrible experience that we've had, right? When
Yeah.
instead, if we're like, that really sucked and that really hurt my feelings, and knowing how deep that's running, like I need an evidence folder, and I have those, right? I have like testimonials of people or text messages that people have sent me that are actually really specific, right? Because the ones that are really specific hurt the most. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, you're too loud, right? Having evidence of somebody saying like, oh my gosh, like you brought the energy. Wow. Like you were louder than everybody and it was the best thing. It's like, it's exactly fighting the loudness, right? That made you so self-conscious, right? So the first thing of just acknowledging is saying like, it's actually okay for us to feel like we're not enough, right? That is normal. And we have so much evidence that tells us that that's not true, right? It's saying, I feel this. It's okay to feel this. Wow. In fact, like the more specific you can be of instead of using like a superlative and saying, I think everybody hates me, or I think everybody thinks I'm too loud. It's saying like Jerry from the 3rd grade said that I was too loud and it really hurt my feelings. It just focuses it a little bit more to say like, oh, okay, Jerry was wrong, instead of trying to fight the world of like, no, the world is wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just makes it a little bit less scary
Oh,
for sure.
that is so good. Also, what's up with Jerry? Okay.
I know. Come on, Jerry.
Come on, Jerry.
Get out of here, Jerry.
No, and I love that you said having like evidence files. And I really want to encourage everyone who's listening to this to do what McCall is talking about. And it might sound weird to you, but I do the same thing. And I literally will screenshot things people send to me, even if it's a review for this podcast, because it'll pump me up for the next one. Yes. So thank you for those reviews. Okay.
Review.
Or if someone just texts, messages me on social, or I get a text, I'm like, thank you. Like, I need that. And so when I have those negative thoughts, I can go, wait a minute, Jerry might have said that to me too. Or it's weird because it's funny, not weird and funny. It's actually a little sad, but we kind of hang on to those things that were told to us when we were young, and we think that's true and it's not. And so doing this is like, wait, what is actually true? I love that. And then you also made me like, this was powerful too, where it's like, be like exactly who you are. And that's how you're going to attract all the people. Like I can't fake to be a quiet person. I can't fake being, I'm nerdy, but like, I'm smart, but I'm not like book smart. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
smart.
I'm very smart. That sounded weird, but I'm not like, I'm more like, yes. And so I'm just going to be who I am, and not everyone's going to like me. And I did this on a previous podcast. I'm like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Who cares? You got to just be you. Yeah. And so with that being said, like, how does someone go and dig deep and find that charisma, like where they could just be like, I'm playing full out. I have this one life. I'm done hiding. What would you say to her?
I love that. So the very first thing that we have to realize is that charisma looks different for different people, right? That's like the whole underlying foundation of my whole business, is the charisma looks different for different people, right? And even acknowledging what you were saying before, Molly, of when you're like, I'm smart, but right, the first thing that we have to say is like, oh, smart actually looks different for different people too, right? But the thing that we do in our brains is that we categorize wrongly. I call it a distorted definition, right? All of a sudden we start to define words in ways that actually don't make sense, but it does to our brain, right? So I'll give you an example. I had a client who had an old business partner tell her, you're too eager. You need to stop doing that. Nobody's going to take us seriously. Like, you're too bubbly. You are too energetic, right? Nobody's going to think you're smart if you keep talking like that. So that's the one thing we were working on. We were like, okay, like, let's come together. And her videos were they were not working, right? Her videos looked boring. She wasn't being herself. And we were trying to figure out why. Yeah. So we broke it down and we said, oh, this ex-business partner told you these things. Okay. So let's deal with that. And she came to me and she's like, McCall, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to stop trying to be smart. She's literally said that to me. And I was like, okay, we missed the point a little bit. It's that you think that smart looks like Brene Brown, and that's the only thing that it looks like. That's what your brain has created, right? When Brene Brown is smart, that's reality. Brene Brown is what smart looks like is false, right? That's a distorted definition. Instead, we said, let's find somebody who is smart who's just like you, right? And so I said, well, do you think Russell Brunson's smart? And she's like, yes. I'm like, great. He is like you, right? He's like nerdy and fun and energetic,
Yeah.
but he's just as smart as Brene Brown. They just look different, right? So we have a lot of different definitions in our brain of like, oh, this is what smart looks like. This is what fun looks like. A lot of times it comes from different people who've been in our lives, right? If you had maybe like an older sister that was a specific way and everybody said that she was smart, it's like, oh, that's what smart looks like in your brain, right? Or if you had, a friend that was so fun and they were different than you and you're like, oh, well, that's what fun looks like. So I'm not fun, right? It's just realizing that like, oh, if we have those distorted definitions, we say we are all of these things. We can be smart and fun and energetic. It just is going to look different than different people, right? So when finding your own charisma, the main thing that you want to do is you want to find times when you have been your best, right? Instead of saying like, oh, what are the attributes of me in general, right? Fun, loud, right? Whatever. It's finding like specific events where you say, oh, I know that I was on here, right? For my husband, Tanner, we had a wedding that we went to like a couple years ago and he like distracted from the bride. He was so fun and charismatic there. The bride like went to cut the cake and Tanner was in the bathroom and people were like looking around like, where's Tanner? I'm like, this is crazy. Like it was so much fun. So we look at that wedding, even though he's charismatic all the time, we look at that wedding and we say, oh, well, what attributes did you have there? Like what brought that out in you? Like, why was it so fun? Right. And then we go to recreate the emotions around that moment. Right. So find the times in your life where you feel like you have been on, where you feel like, oh, I was charismatic here. I was charismatic here. I really got people's attention here. I was fun here. And then look and say, okay, what do we feel caused that? What did it look like? Because then we can start to recreate it. So step one is realize that charisma looks different for different people. Step two is look at those distorted definitions and say, oh, I may think, well, maybe I don't look smart because I don't look like Brene Brown, or maybe I don't look energetic because I don't look like Molly, right? Whatever these things are, and say, oh, charisma just looks different for different people. Like you can be smart and look like a lot of different things. And then step three is say, well, when I am these things that I want to be, smart, energetic, fun, whatever, when have been times in my life when I have been that thing? What did it look like? What did it feel like? And what caused it? And then you can kind of reverse engineer and find like your special sauce. You can say, oh, that's exactly what I look like. That's exactly what I feel like. Like those are the things I should strive to be.
Okay.
That was a really long-winded answer.
No, it was so good. I love how you're like, what is my special sauce? Like everyone has their special sauce. Like I hope everyone knows that. I feel like many people are like, oh, if I'm not big on social media, if I don't have a business, if I don't do this because I'm just this, then I don't. It's like, yes, you do. Like God made each and every one of us different and with the special sauce. So it's like, own your sauce. I think I need a shirt that says own your sauce. Own your sauce.
I love that.
But you do have to own it. And a lot of the times, even people say that to me, like which is a nice compliment, but I want to say to them, this is not true. Like you have it too. They'll say like, oh, you're doing this because you're this way. I'm like, you have magic inside of you. Like go and find your magic. Right. And I actually, I will admit this. I stalked McCall's Instagram, which you should do too. Okay. I think it's McCall Jones official.
Yeah.
Is that on Instagram? Okay. I did stalk her really well, but I loved so many of the things she said. And one thing, I took a couple notes this morning and it was like, you said, we all have something inside of us that we are waiting to get out. I think that was you. Just kidding. It was you. It was you. I'm joking, but how can you share more on that? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
So normally what people think charisma is energy, right? As soon as they start to dive into, especially business people, they think like, oh, all I need is I just need to have more energy, more energy, more energy. When charisma actually isn't energy, charisma is emotions, right? So it's our emotions control our charisma, and then our charisma controls other people's emotions, right? So it's just like this big cycle, right? Cool. So a lot of times I'm going to throw a couple rocks at my competitors, which means that like, let me tell you everything they're doing wrong. Yeah. Normally when people think about charisma, even like with charisma content, we're diving deep into this right now. At the beginning of my business, I also did this, but they think of charisma in terms of choreography, right? So they're like, well, McCall, help me with my charisma. Like, tell me what the best way to move my hands is, which, like I said, I started out my business that way, where I was like, oh, I'm really good at choreography. I can tell you exactly what to do with your hands. The problem with like what do I do with my hands? What do I do with my voice? How am I supposed to move my facial expressions? Is two things. The first one is that the choreography looks different for different people because different people have different types of charisma. Right. And the second thing is it never stuck. Like, thinking of choreography always made somebody look stranger, right? It
Totally.
always made somebody look like they were in their head because they were like trying to memorize that specific choreography. So instead, what we started shifting to, that lasted longer, was way easier, way more natural. It was just so much better. It was actually focusing on the emotions. And then the choreography happened on its own, right? So if we think
Mhm.
of charisma as like, okay, look good in front of people, right? We think of those emotions. So the way to tap into your special sauce is to tap into your own emotions, right? The first way to do that is to be really, really intentional about what do I want to feel, right? So if we say, okay, I'm going into a situation, right? If we say we're about to film a video, because I'm a video girl, right? I'm about to film a video, and what do I want that video to look like? Like, what do I want to feel and to be seen as in that video? Let's say it's really excited, right? Really easy motion.
Yeah.
So we say, okay, I want to be really excited in this video. Awesome. I'm super intentional about that. Now we have to back up and say, well, if I were to fake being excited, that's what we don't want to do, right? We don't
No.
want to say, I'm so excited, because it starts to feel weird and it starts to feel really draining.
Yeah.
Instead, we want to say, how can we create that genuine emotion in the shortest amount of time possible so that we actually are excited? So I do two things. The first thing is I say, what am I about to film? Like the script or the topic. And I say, what actually excites me about that topic? Like the main things that actually get me excited. And you can't fake it. So if you're about to say something you're not excited about, you got to find a new script, right?
Love
Because it
it.
doesn't work that way. So we
Yeah.
say, okay, what am I actually excited about? What am I about to talk about? And then the second thing is you need to actually change like your physical and emotional state to be excited. So instead of just like pushing record and saying like, I'm excited, right? I think of it as like a car. Nobody goes 0 to 60 in like half a second. It usually
Right.
takes us like 20 to 30 seconds. So I say
Yeah.
before filming, now that we know what we're excited about, now we need to like listen to music. We need to talk out loud and actually get excited about the thing before you go in and film that video, right? So we say we're really intentional about that emotion. Now, what do we need to do to actually feel that emotion? We talk about what we're excited about what we're about to talk about, and then we change our physical state. We say, okay, I'm going to stand up, or I'm going to listen to music, and I'm going to talk out loud for 20 to 30 seconds before I go into that. You can actually do that with any situation. So even if it's not a video and you're like, I'm about to go into a workout class. Okay, what do I want to be in the workout class? I want to be friendly. I want to not be self-conscious. I want to feel confident. Okay, now I'm really intentional about those things. Now, what am I excited about with this class, with this workout class I'm going to go into? What do I actually feel confident about? Maybe it's not every single thing about what I'm doing in my life, but what's one thing I feel really confident about? Okay, awesome. Who do I want to make friends with? Great. Now I need to change my physical state. So let's say you're in the car, 2 minutes before. Let's play some pump up music, right? Let's talk out loud and be like, okay, no, like I am going to be confident. This is going to be amazing. Like I'm actually going to genuinely feel this. And then you walk into the workout class, and then you walk in with your charisma and your special sauce in high gear, instead of feeling like, oh, okay, I got to warm up. Like I got to take my
Yes.
time, right? All those things.
That's amazing. And I'm going to tell you that works because I did this yesterday. So McCall, and this is crazy. So my story might sound lame, but this literally just happened yesterday. And I was like, you are spot on. So yesterday I'm in like California right now. And I was like, I haven't played tennis in 4 months because I used to play in Idaho. Now I'm in California right now. And I joined like this new club because I'm like, I miss it. Like the other day I was actually like, what is missing from my life that really made me happy before? Oh, it's tennis. I know this sounds lame, but I love it. I started playing tennis when I was 46, y'all. So you can teach old dogs new tricks. I'm just saying. So I'm driving there yesterday and I don't know anybody there. I know nobody there. So I'm driving and I'm like, okay, I want to have a great time. I want to enjoy this. I want to kick butt because I'm competitive, but I also want to play really well. And I want to make new friends. I want people to hang out with here. Right. And it's just going to be an amazing day. So I literally sat there in my car and I was like, okay, I'm super excited. I'm not nervous. No, because I'm super pumped up. I'm going to have fun. I was literally telling myself what was going to happen. And then I turned on music and I was like, let's go. I'm in my car. I'm totally dancing. I'm not joking you. And then I get out of my car and I was like, okay, looking at my fit, right? My kids say it's not my clothes, it's not my outfit, it's my fit. So I'm like, okay, I like my tennis dress. I've got my new shoes on. I got my cute racket. Let's go. And I go into the tennis class and I'm like, hey, everybody, what's up? My name is Molly. I'm new. How's it going? I played really well. I had a blast and I left with 6 phone numbers and an invite to brunch tomorrow. What?
I love it.
Literally,
Yes.
you can, and anyone can do this. Like you said, I changed my state. Instead, I could have done the opposite, right? I could have like hunched over in my car. This might suck. I'm not going to make any friends. No one will like me. I mean, we do that so many times, right? But it's like, if you decide this is going to be freaking amazing and I'm going to have a blast and I'm awesome, let's go. Like, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, and like your emotions controlled your charisma, which means that like everybody saw you and they were like, oh my gosh, how fun. And then your charisma controlled other people's emotions where they were really warm and open to you, right? They respond, people respond to genuine emotions, right? If you was sat in the car with your hood up and you were like, oh, okay, this is terrible. And then walked into that tennis and were like, hey, everybody, they would have felt like it was not genuine, right?
That is a great point.
Like red flags were going off and they were like, I don't know about this, right? It's people can tell. And when people say like, fake it till you make it, that's you can't because people can tell. Instead, we say, oh, let's create genuine emotions here. Even if you were nervous beforehand, like let's say driving to
I was a little nervous.
Tennis game. Yeah, let's even say you were a total mess, which I know you weren't. But like if you were a total mess, you're like, oh my gosh, what if nobody talks to me? Like this is crazy. What we say is, okay, well, let's go through the exercise again. And let's say, well, I want to be excited. I want to be friendly. I want to be all these things. Okay, now what do I need to do to actually change my emotional state? You may have had to take a couple more laps around the block. You may have had to play music a little bit more. You may have had to go and get like maybe a yummy treat for a second, right? But you have the ability to change your state as long as you're really intentional about it, right? We say, okay, well, no, okay, what evidence do I have that I am a friendly person? What evidence do I have to fight maybe the things that are happening in my brain? And then by the time you pull into that parking lot, you would have been ready to have those pump up conversations with yourself and check your fit and all of that, right? It's like, it just is a matter of time. So we say, maybe it takes 20 seconds, right? When you are on your game, maybe it takes 20 seconds to get into your charisma special sauce. When you're off your game and you're like, oh, I do not feel like doing this right now. Instead of faking it, we say, well, just take a couple more minutes. Like just take a couple more turns around the block, listen to a little bit more pump up music, right? Maybe eat some chocolate, like whatever you need to do, eat your LadyBoss, amazing cookie shake, right? Whatever you need to do to like actually change your physical state, like it's worth it, right? And so many people think, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time, McCall, to take 5 minutes before I dive into my content creation. So I'm going to skip it. And then all the content they create and film is bad. And then they throw it away because they're like, oh, it just looks so bad. Like it just looks so terrible. It would be better to take 20 minutes before you go into all of your content creation to actually change your state because you'll film faster, right? It would be better for you to take that 20 minutes around the parking lot, whatever, right? Leave earlier than it would be to go in, feel like you're faking it, and then feel like, oh, I don't know if I made friends. Like, right? Everybody tries to convince themselves like, I don't have time because they feel a little bit silly, right? But if you just embrace it, totally works. Totally works.
Love that. I love that.
I'm so proud of you. That's so great.
Thank you. Well, you reminded me of like years ago, Kevin and I went to Unleash the Power Within UPW with Tony Robbins. And he does this whole thing where you're like, well, you do like a power move. And I remember mine was like, and my husband's like, what are you doing? Why are you being a gorilla? I was like, it's getting my attention. But I would be like, I'm Molly like Richards. And I'm like, like I would change into this person of like who I wanted to be based on the outcome that I wanted. So like yesterday, the outcome I wanted was I wanted to make friends. You know what I mean? And I wanted to have a good time. And I mean, literally, y'all, I didn't know any of these people. And 45 minutes into the class, I sucked on hitting the ball and I did the full superstar pose. And they were all dying. By the end of the class, we're all doing superstar. So it's like, you never know. Now that might change their game. Who knows? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all, we'll check it out. We will be right back because we have a super fun message for you to listen to. And we'll be right back because there's so much more with the amazing McCall Jones.
So fun.
If you're looking for a reason to start your weight loss journey, this is your sign. The free LadyBoss Weight Loss Kickstart gives you the tools you need to ignite your weight loss journey with no cost and no hassle. Download your free guide at the link in the description below.
All right, we're back. We're back. Okay, thanks for listening to that. Okay, this has been so amazing. And as I'm looking at McCall, I am remembering when she spoke at Funnel Hacking Live last year in Florida. And okay, let me just tell you that she comes on stage in the cutest hot pink suit I've ever seen. And I was like, who can wear that? McCall can wear that. Like, she and her energy and her kicks and her body language was just like so cool. Is that so? You said that you did like did you do musical theater and acting? So do you like get in the zone yourself right before going on stage? I'm just curious. Like, are you
That's
just
a
like, let's
great
go?
question. Yeah, yes, so this comes from my performance world of like, I believe that nothing magical, well, I'm going to say this kind of two ways. It's going to feel contradictory, but nothing magical happens when you get on a stage, which means that like you need to practice the way that
Mhm.
you are wanting to perform because
Okay.
you want to build muscle memory,
Right.
basically. So like me being a total weirdo on stage is the way that I practice it all the time, right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
yes, I get pumped up before, I'm listening to music before, like I buzz. I love a stage. I love a crowd. I have since I was a little girl, and
Oh my
it just is
gosh.
so exciting.
That's
And I
cool.
will tell you, like the crowd, so this is kind of a fun thing, and it does have to do with charisma. The crowd totally matters, right? And
Yeah.
me and my husband call it fog. It's like the fog hits the stage and the crowd is cheering and like all this stuff. The
Oh,
crowd totally matters, right?
yeah.
The energy you feed off of in a crowd. So when you're in a crowd, it is so important to be the audience member that
Ah,
the person on stage wishes they had, right?
you're
And like
so right.
it's so important. It's so important because yes, I'm getting so pumped up on stage or backstage and all of that, right? I have my playlist. Like I run through my intro a couple times. Like technically, before I get on stage, I will go out into whatever warehouse, like whatever is backstage, and I'll do the first minute of my speech so that
I
it feels
love
like it's in my body. And then I'll just like listen to music. I like, kiss my husband and he goes into
it.
the crowd so that he can watch me come on stage. And then,
Oh,
yeah, I just like
that's
jump up and
so
down backstage
cool.
and then the crowd is really helpful when they're
Ah,
cheering. Yeah. It's the other
that's
thing
so
that I do
cool.
too. Before is I practice being nervous, which
Mm.
I taught voice lessons to kids for like 8 years. And one of the number one skills that I taught them was to practice being nervous before a performance. Because if you don't know how your body responds to large crowds or cheering or being self-conscious, like then you can't control it and it'll feel really foreign. And that's why people feel like, oh, what if I freeze? Like, what if I do really bad on stage? So instead, we just practice being nervous, right? So I will run that speech for different crowds of people, right? I'll bring people in person, even if it's like 1 to 5 people, right? I'll make sure they're people that make me nervous. I'll
Mhm.
do it on Zoom for new crowds so that I can just practice what it feels like to be nervous. So by the time I get on stage, I'm like, oh, this is familiar. Like I can just have fun here. It's
That
also
is so
I go really
smart.
prepared. So I just practice a lot. So it's really fun.
That is genius. Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
And as I'm thinking, like, not all of us are performers like you or going to be on stage, but one, I just learned how to be a better audience. Like I learned how to
Totally.
be better. Like I'm going to Justin Timberlake in a few weeks. He's going to be so thankful for me because no one
Yeah,
else is
he
going to be
is.
screaming for him. I'm kidding.
I love it. No, he really
But so
is.
many times, like even being on stage, I know takes so much energy, like so
Yeah.
much energy. So like getting that back is just so cool. So let's all be really awesome audience members.
Yeah. What
And
do you
then,
think like
yeah.
like in a workout class, right? You're either
Yes.
audience or you're teaching or whatever. So same thing. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, I taught fitness for like 20 years, girl. And if I had duds in class, I'm just like, want my energy. Like I'm reflecting them for sure. Oh, I remember I would go from one gym that was just like amazing people and they were so, and then I'd go to another gym and they were just like, no.
Not
And I was
feeling
like, I didn't
anything.
even teach as good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's
So
hard.
crazy. But I'm thinking like if we practice being if you're talking about practicing being nervous on stage, what if someone in their life was like, I have to make an important phone call. I have to have an important conversation with someone, like reviewing and they're nervous about it. Like that's so helpful to be like, let me review if I'm completely freaked out, if I, whatever. I think that's really, really powerful what you said.
Thanks.
You're awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, so I am curious. So you are so like, vibrant and successful and you're
Thank
helping so many
you.
people. You're such a giver and generous with your content, everything. But in your personal life, like what do you do to be healthy, to be happy, to, just all those things? Share with us like the McCall Jones program to a
Ooh.
good life.
To a good life. I like to move my body. I do a lot of zone 2 cardio, so like watching shows while I'm on the bike.
Okay, I love
I'm
that.
really competitive, so I like to take a cycling class where I feel like I'm going the fastest
Oh my
or
gosh.
have the most intensity on my bike. So yeah, cycling is probably my favorite. I go on long walks with my husband at least twice a day, which we love so much.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as as far as, so if we talk body and then mind and soul, right? Body wise, I like to be active. I have a lot of energy, but I also get a lot of anxiety,
Mhm.
right? And anytime I'm feeling anxiety, it's when I haven't moved my body, right? It feels
Amen.
like there's like negative energy and there's positive energy. And like the only way for me to balance those two things is to say, okay, how do I get rid of the negative energy or turn it into positive energy? And it's usually with exercise, even if it's just like getting outside, which is really nice.
Yep.
Other things with my body, like I love my protein shakes, right? Get that LadyBoss protein shake in your body and you'll be great. As far as like mind wise, I'm really, really lucky to have a husband who listens to me and loves
Ugh,
me and
it's
values
a
my opinion.
blessing. It's a
Yeah,
blessing.
we're co-founders in our
Yeah.
business, and it's been a really fun thing to feel like I'm heard all the time, and he's obviously heard as well. But
Yes.
yeah, mind wise, I'm an out loud processor, and once I knew that about myself, it's really good for me to be able to bounce ideas
Ah,
off of things. Um, yeah,
what
I
a
I
great guy.
read, but I don't read a lot of business books. I usually listen to those audiobook wise.
Yeah.
I read a lot of like teen romance novels that help my soul, which are
Yeah.
great.
You are so cute.
Yeah, but I try to do something every day that's like that's body, that's mind, that's soul.
Hmm.
The other thing that we say is, whether you're running a business or not, you are your number one asset that you have to take care of. And we've seen that in our business so many times. We're like, especially because I'm the face, I'm the voice, like
Hmm.
I'm giving the speeches, things like that. Like if I go down, our whole business shuts down, which we're working on, right? We're working on diversifying a little bit. But like if you are the person in your life who's supposed to take care of specific things and you're not taking care of yourself, it's a little bit irresponsible, right? And I had to come to that conclusion of saying, okay, self-care is actually necessary and not a luxury,
Right.
right? So like what do I need to do to make sure that I'm not getting depressed and things like
Yeah.
that? Also, like my husband knows this about me. I should have a thick skin. Everybody tells you to get a thick skin. I don't have one. I don't have a thick skin. Things hurt my feelings. So like I don't read negative comments. I
No.
I let him deal with anything crazy that's happening that
I
way.
love that.
And I only focus on the positive because it can totally make me spin. So it's just kind of knowing yourself and being really
Ah,
intentional. So mind, body, spirit, and I don't
taking
like
care
mean
of you.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. We talk about that too within Lady Boss. It's like if you're not filling your cup, like how are you going to pour onto others in your life? Like you
Yeah.
should be number one, and that's okay to be completely selfish. Like
Yeah.
if you don't, then everyone's going to suffer. So like you
Yeah.
said, it is a responsibility, and I love that. So amen to all of that. And I'm with you. If I'm like grumpy or irritable, or I'm even nervous or anxious or stressed, or you just feel like this, I'm like, I'm out. I'm going for a walk. Bye. I'm always like, a 30-minute walk is magical, right? Clears your head. If it's in nature,
Yeah.
that's even better. Listening to something, So I'm
100%.
with you on all that, girlfriend, for
I've also
sure.
found music is maybe abnormally influential in my life, but like if I am grumpy, if I'm doing something like I listen to one song that's like fun, it can
Yeah.
completely change my
Yes.
mood. I also
Oh, and
we
you're
have
probably
like a
doing a
one
dance
time
party.
system.
I could see
One
it.
hundred
I'm sorry.
percent,
Keep going.
one
I could picture
hundred
it.
percent dance party. But I also have a system where like 1 to 10, it's like if I get to my 10, I know I will like shut down. So if I
Mhm.
feel like I'm getting to like my 7, as far as like anxious or grumpy or whatever, I know I have to walk away at my 7
Mhm.
and do something. So, and like I'll even tell Tanner, my husband, that if I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm at my 7, like,
Ah,
oh, because if I get to my 10, like I said, like I kind of shut down. So it's like I'm at my 7, I gotta go on a walk. Even if we're mid conversation, I'm just like, I gotta stop. Like,
that's
I gotta
so
stop. I'm gonna go
good.
eat something. I gotta stop. I gotta go for a walk. I gotta stop. Like, I gotta go listen to my music, whatever. Um, yeah, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
self-awareness that keeps
That
me
is so
healthy.
smart. I've never learned that from anybody. That's like amazing. Okay.
Thanks.
It's the McCall-ometer. No,
A
I like that. It
kilometer,
is a
yeah.
McCall-ometer, but I like that. I'm going to totally steal that from you if that's
Please
okay.
do,
But I
yes.
think that's a really good way to communicate things to people in your life instead of being like all of a sudden like, bye. You're like, I'm going to tell you where I'm at right now. I'm going to communicate effectively, and we're going to be calm. We're not going to fight. I'm not going to blow
Totally.
up. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to actually take care of me because I'm at that 7. I don't want to get to an 8, a 9, or a 10 where I lose my ish. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think that is so cool. And that is something that we can teach our children. And
Yeah.
I think that is so cool. I wish my kids knew that. We're like, Mom, I'm at a 7. I'm out. I'm like, go. I got you. Thank you for teaching us that.
Well, sometimes it comes quickly. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's a
It can
gradual
escalate.
thing and I'm like, okay, like I'm okay. Like I'm kind of a 6, like I'm coming to my 7. Like we got to wrap up this conversation. And sometimes something is very triggering and I'm like, I'm at 9. Like
9.9. I got to go.
9.9.
Oh my gosh.
And my husband also knows that. It's like when I'm like, okay, like he can be mid-sentence and he understands that I'm going to come back to the conversation. Like I'm going to come back to this point. But for now, like I need to stop.
Good.
I need to stop and I need to walk away. So yeah, it's
I'm
helpful.
adopting that in my life.
Please
Thank
do.
you so much.
Yeah,
like for real. Oh my gosh. I love this. I love everything that you're sharing. I know everyone else will too. I can't wait to hear everyone like be like, this is amazing. So when I look at you and I know that it's hard to start a business, it's scary. I mean, hello, God bless you. You did it during 2020, like amazing, right? Like that's even scarier. So we all have our doubts about ourselves. Like, can I be successful? Do people want this? Should I do this? This is scary. And many times, like I said, our brain's like, don't do it. It's like, how did you get past all those doubts and fears and all the things that come with it? What did you tell yourself? What did you do? Or what do you do on a daily basis? Not even maybe with your business, but you're just like, what do you do? Give us another McCall way.
Oh, you're so nice. I think, so me and Tanner were actually talking about this yesterday. So I love that we've talked about like everybody has their special sauce and everybody has the magic in them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there's like outward and inward magic, right? Like the outward magic is the charisma. The inward magic is kind of the stuff that like drives us.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the main things that I did that made our business grow so quickly is I knew exactly what I wanted, right? So if you guys are familiar with Russell Brunson's stuff, which he's amazing.
Go look him up.
He talks about,
Russell
look him up.
Brunson.
He's incredible.
Yep.
And so in his past, he was a wrestler, right? This is the first time I really heard about this. And it was like definiteness of purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, of purpose, where he said one day he saw, he was at a wrestling match and he saw somebody's hand get raised because they had just won a match. And the second he saw that, he said, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was able to focus wholly on achieving that one thing of like getting his hand raised on the mat. The very first thing that I saw when I was at Funnel Hacking Live 2020, right, that internet marketing convention, I was not there. I didn't know anything about internet marketing. I did not have a business, but I saw Russell get on stage and I was like, I want that. I want that, right? And like, I saw how many people he was helping and I saw how many people were like taking notes and all this stuff. And I was like, I want that, right? So the main thing that drove me, especially at the beginning, to create and move past doubts and things was, is this going to get me towards this one very specific goal or not, right? And it wasn't goal of big business. That actually didn't matter to me, right? Like, and me and Tanner talked about this because he's always been a business person and like having a big business is really important to him. For some reason in my brain, it never registered as big business, right? It registered as lots of people that I'm helping, right? And like, I like to talk to people. I like to be with people, right? I like to help people be themselves. So it was never about business size or money size. It all came down to like, I want to do this one thing, right? This one thing. And the very first thing was, I want to speak at Funnel Hacking Live, right? And it just was this goal that I had in my brain, and I want to do it in a year. And then every day that I got up, it was like, does this move me closer to that goal or farther away from that goal? And it helped me kind of prioritize, right? And it may sound really simple, but you know, the times in our business where we haven't moved as quickly or haven't achieved as much, or maybe we've achieved a lot of things, but they weren't actually moving in a specific direction, right? Sometimes we can feel like we're running in circles, like we're accomplishing a lot, but we're not really moving anywhere. Right. The main thing that has been missing is that one goal, right? That one thing that we want to move towards. Yeah. So that's been the thing in our business. And right now we're kind of in the middle of trying to pick what that next goal is, right? We're like, okay, like what is next? Because, you know, my internal McCall magic and right, your internal Molly magic, all of us have this. Yeah. It only really fires on full cylinders when I have that one thing that like nothing will get in my way. And I think we all have that, right? It's just, there's a lot of distractions. And when we don't know what we want, or we're a little bit vague about what we want, then we can let those doubts seep in a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Totally. I'm so proud of you, by the way. Just so everyone knows, she did end up speaking at Funnel Hacking Live. And so she did actually achieve that one thing. And so it actually gives me, I have little tears. I mean, you were talking about it. I was like, oh, stop. I'm very proud of you. So we should all be inspired by that. And so my question for listeners is, what is your one thing? What is your desire? Kevin and I often talk about the word desire because he'll be like, I want to know what you desire.
Mm.
And I had a hard time with that. I still
Yeah.
do. I was not taught really kind of like to want. I was raised in a huge family with a mom that was working 4 jobs to put food on the table. And so I'm just saying, like, sometimes we don't know that we should desire, we should want. So what is that thing you want? Listeners, think right now in your gut, you know what it is. You know what it is. And don't be afraid or ashamed or embarrassed to say what it is, please. Because then you're just denying like what God put you on this earth to do.
Yeah.
And that is, what do you have to say?
Hard. I think that saying it out loud sometimes feels a little bit silly, right? It's like you also just you have to surround yourself with people. I truly feel, and it sounds so cheesy, but I feel so lucky that I have Tanner, my husband,
Go
who
Tanner.
is the fire, right? He's the fire behind me
Yeah.
that's just like, okay, like, what do you want? There's a video. I have a video of me at Funnel Hacking Live 2020, right? Where I literally started my business there, right? I saw Russell on stage. That first day, he said, you have something that's going to change someone's life. It's your moral responsibility to give it to them. I was like, okay. I went to my hotel room that night. I registered the domain name, which is the URL that you go to, charismahacking.com. I asked the woman I had sat next to that day. I had my first client that next day, right? And I just was like, let's go, let's do this. And I have a video of me the last day of Funnel Hacking Live, literally saying into a camera, which like the audacity, it was crazy. But I was like, I will see you on that stage next year. Like, let's do this. And now I have that, which is so crazy. But
oh my gosh,
Tanner, like, he was the one that was like, pull out your phone. Let's film this for your origin story, which I was like, no, like that feels stupid. Like, that's crazy. He's like, McCall, do you want this? And I was like, yeah. He's like, pull out your phone. Let's do this for your origin story. You'll want this a year from now. And I was like, okay. And like, he's walking next to me the whole time. And I had permission to not feel dumb about it. And like, I had permission to actually have the audacity to say, this is what I want. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. So it's like, I don't know, surrounding yourself with people who allow you to want those things and support those things and not being afraid to say like, this may sound crazy, but right. And then just giving yourself permission to kind of go for it.
I love it. And speak it and say it. And like you said, hang out with people who are like, go do it. We talk about that. Like, stop hanging out with people who are like, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? You can. It's like, how people are going to cheer for you. That is like, oh, go Tanner. Yay. What a good husband. Oh my gosh. And I'm so happy you just you just said, I'm just going to do it. I love that. So I hope everyone will say what they want. Like, don't be shy. You know what I mean? And just go do it. Like, that's so cool. So inspiring. Oh my gosh. Well, I just adore you. And I am just so proud of you. Oh my gosh. So I just have I have 2 quick questions. I do this for people at the end because it's so fun. What is one super silly or fun fact about you that's like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing to share, but I'm sharing it on LadyBoss Unplugged. I know.
Oh, super fun.
I did not warn McCall, by the way.
One of my very favorite. Okay, this is this is so dumb.
Silly.
I have 2 songs that will pull me out of any mood.
Perfect.
Including Dead of Sleep. And I do full choreography to the full, like, 5 minute song. One of them is River Deep Mountain High, the Celine Dion version. And the second one is the Village song for Beauty and the Beast, Belle, with all the voices of the different Bonjour people. And I do all of the voices. But Tanner knows, it's so stupid, but Tanner knows if I'm in a mood, he will either turn on River Deep Mountain High or I'm doing all the voices from the Villagers, from Belle, from Beauty and the Beast.
I could hear it.
That's me out. It's like Bonjour.
Oh my gosh.
So dumb, but
that's one of my favorite Disney movies. So you're speaking my language, girlfriend. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. I want to hear you sing it one day, please. Oh my gosh.
No, never. So
oh
crazy.
My gosh. And then what are you looking forward to most in the next couple months? Like, what is something where you're like, I'm stoked about this, like I'm pumped about this, I'm nervous, but I'm going. What is it?
Yes. I'm about to do an awesome event with Russell Brunson in a couple weeks.
Love it.
That we're really excited about. We're going to help people sell more things, which we love to do. I'm really excited about that. We just moved into a new office. I'm excited to get back on my content grind.
Love it. I love
Yeah,
your passion for what you do.
it's hard to get loud, but it's
Yeah.
it's time to get loud about
Get
things again. So
loud.
we're
Let's
excited.
get loud.
Oh,
Right? Isn't that a song? Okay.
yep.
And also, y'all, did you just hear what McCall said? She went and watched Russell on stage. Now she's speaking at one of Russell's events again.
Oh, you're so nice.
So, but it's so cool. Like anything that we
Thanks.
think is impossible, that is us just telling lies to ourselves. So go, everybody, like be inspired by McCall, like I am today.
We
Like
can
no
do
more
it.
hiding, y'all. No more hiding. And so last, I just want you to tell everybody where we can find you, become obsessed with you, and where we can
Oh,
also
you're so nice.
share about McCall with your friends, by the way, because everyone needs to know her and learn from her.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah.
So find me on Instagram. I love to meet new people. Let's be friends, guys. McCall Jones Official. That's McCallJones Official on Instagram, or you can go to charismahacking.com and check out all the things we got going on.
Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. Also, you have a very cool name. I'm a little
Thank
jealous.
you.
I'm a little jealous. Maybe I should change my name. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Best name.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love you. I can't wait to see you soon.
so much.
And I just hope for all awesomeness for you. And what a blessing you are to all of us. Thank you so much for hanging
Thank you so much
out.
for
Go
having
follow
me.
McCall.
Oh,
All
I'm
right.
obsessed with you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
friend.
Everybody, we'll see you on the next episode. You're so amazing. We appreciate you. And yeah, go make today awesome and do all the things we talked about. Don't just listen, take action. All right. Bye, everybody.